What's up, my good peoples? I'm talking about. You have now tuned in to the Square Biz Podcast, where we serving nothing but good conversation with people that got positive influence over their life. The floor won't be open for testimony service, you hear me? Well, peace, love, blessings, and prosperity to all. Let go, let go.
Steady on the grind, gotta handle biz, grinding every day, hustle for the kids, ain't here to judge, gotta get it how you live, just keep it real, and that's Square Biz. Steady on the grind, gotta handle biz, grinding every day, hustle for the kids, ain't here to judge, gotta get it how you live, just keep it real, and that's Square Biz.
Top of the day, top of the day. What is it?
Top of the day. Oh, new day, new blessings. Learn from yesterday's lessons, and you do know that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So today we are honored to have a legend,
Legend,
first generation,
sure.
and someone that motivated me and opened doors for me to open my nonprofit and my 501c3 and motivated me to do things that I'm doing in my community. We have the great Cynthia Nunn. So we started this episode by asking Cynth, for the viewers that don't know you,
Yeah.
who is Cynthia Nunn?
Oh, I am Cynthia Nunn. I'm Cynthia Nunn, CEO and founder of Sylvia Nunn Angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
and,
what I am.
and like I was just saying, you first generation. You grew up in the gang life.
Yes.
In those days when you were growing up, was it something that driven you to that lifestyle, or was it just a lifestyle that you adapt?
Well, it's not like I wanted to adapt to it. We didn't have a choice, back then. That's what it was. People come to the neighborhood, and it's either you in the gang or you not in the gang. And really, even if you didn't join, if you live in that area, they gonna still say you in a gang anyway,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, first generation. I've seen people come and people go, and I'm blessed to still be here. I thank God for that.
And that's a blessing. To the Nuns, y'all are a household name.
Legendary,
Yes.
Household name.
for sure.
Your brother
Yes.
is one of the well known.
Yes.
I mean, I heard his name when I was a kid.
I used to hear his
Before
name too.
I
My
didn't-
pops used to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Their whole family.
Yeah, so
For sure.
he, just to kind of go back, he did how much time did he do? The big homie do?
Well, this last time he did 32 years, but before that he did a 5-year bid. Another time before that, 2 years. So he did most of his life in prison.
Man,
Wow.
32 years.
That's
I'm
a long
45, so wow.
That's a long time.
And I remember too, though, while he was doing that time, you was advocating for him that whole
Yes,
time.
yes.
You stood 10 toes down for your brother, and I personally think that you are one of the reasons why he ended up coming home, because you kept on advocating. You kept on. Was he? And let me just. How hard was that? I mean, I know it's your brother, but 32 years of avocation, not knowing if it's gonna pay off.
All right.
How was it?
Oh, nothing's too hard for God. Let me say that first.
Let's
It's
go.
God,
That
then
part. Let's go.
myself. I'm just staying prayed up, having faith. When I decided to change my life, let the devil hand go. I always believed in God, but at some point in time, I had to let the devil hand go. And staying prayed up, and They say God say you got to walk in a room like you got it. You got to give prayer like it's already there. So
There you go.
just kept praying and praying and praying. And it's hard because during the time he was there, he lost mother, father, sister, and brother. We have family, but he's my immediate family, so just staying connected to him and connected to God, going to visit him, showing him that, um, somebody here for you, I care, I love you, and he just keep praying and kept praying and kept praying,
Yeah. Yeah. So for people that don't know who we talking about the one and only China Dog,
yeah,
Marcus Nunn.
yeah.
So shout out to you, big homie, and I'm glad that you home and you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
How was that moment? How was that? How did that
Ooh.
feel when you got that phone call? Once that they made that decision, I know you was the first one they
Oh,
contacted.
yeah, that was the hardest thing. I was talking to, because he wound up getting a lawyer, and when he was going before the board, and that day, and she called, and she was like, he's going in, but, he would like, give me these letters, I got him letters, but I also tell him, take God in there. Them letters don't mean nothing. If you don't take God in there, just like he closed it, he can open it,
There you go.
So he was like, so I said, just stay prayed up, because one thing I learned, God know your heart. I can tell anybody anything, but you can't tell God anything, because he know the heart, So I said, just take God in there. But you talking about bubble gut? My I was so nervous, like, I couldn't sit still. I walked. Oh my God, I walked, and then the lawyer called, and when they granted him parole, I said, God, please let him come home. If you do, I'm going to stand on top of my truck and butterfly. People going to pass by and say, this girl crazy.
Where that video at?
Yeah, I
Where
need
that
it.
video at?
I need it.
Did it happen?
I didn't get up there yet. I couldn't get up there. But I'm going to get up there because I owe it, because he opened that door, and I was, oh, my God. I was so happy.
Yeah,
That's tight.
No, that's loyalty, because I did a couple, and I didn't get nothing. Tell me a lot about them. That's a beautiful thing to see somebody get released from the walls, and
Yeah.
just to know that they have that support, that support system, and. Shoot, you totally different.
Yeah.
He when he left, you was still 10 toes in the soil.
Yeah.
You still was, doing your thing. I got stories, but we keeping it on a positive note today.
That's right.
But also your sister too,
Yeah.
Sylvia Nunn.
Yeah.
Sylvia
She's a
Nunn.
beast, too.
Yeah, she was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sylvia Nunn, I just wanted to ask, because rest in peace to Sylvia Nunn too. Losing her, because y'all was so close. Losing her, how did that affect you personally, and how did that affect the family?
That one was, losing my mother, of course, that hurt, because me and my mother was so close.
Mama Nunn.
Losing her, but I don't know. Losing my sister is like, I guess I felt like she wasn't supposed to go. I don't know why, but when I say cried, even my brother, we stood to. Even though he was locked up, he still was right there with me. He walked me through my mother's death. We knew my mother was sick. So, he would call, the prison would let him call and stuff. But when that happened with him and myself both, he was like, man, I lost my son in here, mother, brother, father. But he said, I don't know, this one right here, like, we cried. I don't know. It was just different. It was like, Sylvia was, I don't know. It was different. She was like she was supposed to still be here,
Yeah.
So it was different. It was really different.
And I know towards the end, she had changed too. She was
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
She wasn't Rambo no more.
No.
She,
I seen it on a documentary in church and everything.
Yeah.
I used to hear these stories back in the days from my pops though.
Yeah.
So it's different to start growing up than when you meet her. I'm in the Sounders playing drums with my grandma, Miss Skinner. So when I finally get a chance to meet her, I'm like, Auntie,
yeah,
just brought me in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I used to hear about it all.
R.I.P. to Miss Skinner too, man.
For sure,
Yeah, she's
Granny.
a legend too.
Yeah, she
yes,
is.
yes.
She was a great lady as well.
What was it like growing up in Compton back then to what we see today?
Compton, when we moved to Compton, it was in the 60s. Nothing but white people. My best friend was a white girl. I was in Girl Scouts. I ran track.
Oh, wow.
You know, we had at the park. We had during our time. We had more opportunities, even though things started changing. But you know, we had they had summer camps like at the park. You know, they would take you on trips. Oh my God, we had so many different opportunities. We had skating in the gym. You know, skating parties. We had record hops. Uh, we had a lot of people to interact with us as well as our parents. You know,
Right.
most parents had most homes had two parents. You know,
Right.
and then the mothers of that day didn't play. You know, we knew when your mother say something, you better do it. You know, even though we was bad, we hid it for a while. But
Right.
you know, the parents back in that day, it was like, you know, and then people, you know, people would be able to chastise you or whatever.
Right.
Nowadays, if you tell somebody kid something, you got to be ready to fight the mother, you know.
Push
So
everybody.
yeah, it was a village. We had more of a village then, you know, and I mean, you know, it started changing, but in the beginning, like I said, it was good, schooling and everything, you know. It was cool. It was cool. You leave your door open, play, you know, be at the park, come home, carnivals at the park.
Right.
It was good.
Man.
Yeah, man.
That was I ain't
was
never,
dope.
never
Yeah.
seen that. It was like, what?
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Man.
Just to follow up on that question. So growing up in those days, right? And you said your best friend was white.
Yeah, she's
That's
a white girl.
bar.
We went camping. Yeah, across the street. We lived in the house, and then across the street, the apartments. My best friend, her name was Tammy. You know.
Man.
Yeah.
Did y'all keep in touch? Or
No, I have not heard from her, and I don't know how long. I guess, you know, when Compton started changing, you know, people don't want to start dealing with us. You know?
Probably got up out of there.
Yeah.
And then just to stay on subject in that realm, what was the gang culture then compared to now? Like I always, for me, it was always like you say, it was a village, it was family. You know, it was family oriented. You know, when somebody run into an older homie or something like that, and they didn't know who you were, they ask you who your mama, who your daddy. You know what I mean? So I know nowadays it really, for me, it's not like that. But from your perspective, what do you see a different from the gang culture then and now? And
Most definitely, it's totally different. You know, gang banging back then, it was really to protect the community. You know, so that's what it was about, protecting our community. That's for number one. And if you were at the league or if you were going to school, they made you go to school. You couldn't just hang out with the homeboys or whoever. You know, if they would tell you take your butt to school. You know, and even though a lot of them were gang members, there still was a certain amount of respect. You know, if your mother pulled up and she had groceries, they'd be like, go get the groceries for Linda. Go take her food out the car, or whatever. You know. So it was always a certain amount of respect. You know. It wasn't like people just went around doing stuff to do it. It's you know, you respect our neighborhood, you respect our community, you know. So it was totally different, and then it was more unity. And then the younger generation, they would respect their older homeboys. If they told them something, it's a respect thing. It's like once everybody started going to jail and stuff, things just got out of hand, and then you had I call them the window watchers. They took the puddings and the loaves and the China dog stories and put it with their face, and then you send the youngsters on a mission doing something you never done, but you telling them to do something that you never done, and the youngsters don't know because they listening to you because they don't know, the history, and so history is very important. Period. Our history, Black history, gangbanging history. History is very important. If you don't know your history, somebody say don't go over that cliff, you're going to keep driving because it's like, I'm going to prove to him I can make it. So when you don't listen, things happen. It was totally different.
Man, yeah,
That's
Totally
crazy
different.
to hear.
yeah. You brought up history. I ain't gonna bring up none of your old flames, but yeah,
You burnt
you knew a lot of people know of Puddin',
Right.
but you knew him in a different way.
Yeah.
How was it? How was Puddin'? And we're talking about one of the founders of Power Rules. How was he? And from your
Gang banging and
yeah.
really, not too much different. Puddin' was just, he was who he was all the way around. Maybe a little different because I had a son, but we used to always hear about Puddin'. Puddin' this, Puddin' that. If you don't dance with Puddin', if you this and that. So it was one of my missions to stay away from Puddin'. But it didn't happen like that. But Puddin' was a force to be reckoned with. I know everybody have their story and people have their stories, but Puddin' was a force to be reckoned with, regardless of what anybody thinks, say, or feel. He wasn't no joke. And it's easy for a lot of people to condemn somebody when they're not here to defend themselves or whatever, but he was a force to be reckoned with by himself. On top of that, the police stayed at our house. Like, well, he wasn't here. He ain't here. He ain't here. But yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with.
So he didn't have a soft side. That's
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Y'all had a relation. Y'all, you end up having a son by him. So
yeah,
we hear the
hard stuff.
yeah. He was he was cool. He did, and especially for his son and myself as well. But again,
Puddin' was
two-parent Puddin' was Puddin', and then two-parent home. My mom was like, like this boy is crazy, But he was still, he still was cool. He was okay with me. He was okay. He was real jealous, like following me around, went up to my school, beating up people and stuff. So, Puddin' was crazy. Yeah, Puddin' was Puddin'.
I used to hear about that name.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Where was the moment you knew you had to change? When was the moment?
When I used to be sitting in the park in my truck, my truck backed up against the gate. The homies would be in the park, and I would sit and watch, really try to watch their back, watching cars go through or whatever. They wasn't paying attention. I seen things that they didn't see.
Right.
I seen people that they didn't see.
Right.
And, I was sitting there talking, and so I started trying to lose weight because I was much thicker, and I was walking with Ricky Pitts, rest in peace, wife Cynthia Pitts, and I said, I want to do a nonprofit because, I don't know, God gave me a vision. I just want to change lives. And her and I, we were walking, and then she started telling me about a lady, Dr. Fulton, beautiful lady. And she said, she do nonprofits. So I started trying to learn the nonprofit world at first and talking to different people. And, everybody said, I'm going to help you, And then once I got my nonprofit, I didn't know nothing. I didn't know nothing because, gangbanging life.
Right.
So God said, You know, I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know. Most people have a business; they have somebody running it themselves.
Right.
But I want you to know everything you need to know. Little did I know he was already preparing me. He had already had this journey for me long before I even knew about it. My journey was to think that I was gonna be a cook because I could really cook. So
Oh yeah,
my
nah.
cousin Spanky
Yeah.
that got killed, rest in peace,
Cook.
What?
Not
was
to
gonna
cut her
open a
off, but
restaurant.
Right. Look how
Yeah.
I see the look
gumbo.
though.
The
I want to
man,
continue the
come
story,
on
but I seen
now.
the look though.
When I was a kid,
I don't know.
and not
Auntie, I
to,
want to see.
not to cut her off enough, but when I was a kid,
Okay.
and I heard she was cooking, she know I was on her porch. I'm
Right.
coming. I'm
Wow.
coming. I didn't
Okay.
have no money though. You know, some place costs. I didn't have. I'm like, Auntie, I was helping around the house.
Right, right.
So that's how I got my plate. You know what I mean? But I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I thought that would be my journey, you know, cooking. And my cousin Spanky, rest in peace, they got killed at the little sound shop on
Oh yeah.
Atlantic. So he was going to try to get a restaurant and open it up for me, but he wound up getting killed or whatever. And then God brought this journey. And one thing I learned in life, it don't matter what you say you're going to do. If that's not what God got for you, you know, now he said, I got a bonus. You can cook. Now you still got a nonprofit. You know, you saving lives. So, you know, so I just felt like kids. I seen a kid walking down the street one time. This would really bother me. Little boy had on some shoes that was so big. I knew they wasn't his.
Right.
And I always felt like kids shouldn't have to live like that, you know, because you be teased and stuff, you know. And then even growing up, everybody stayed at our house. Everybody was always there. And I don't know, it was just something about me and feeling like kids shouldn't have to suffer. It wasn't like my mother was rich. My mother worked. You know, my stepdad worked, but my real dad is also a singer. My real dad sang with the Coasters, Bobby Nunn of the world's famous Coasters. So my dad, that sing back then, you know, we had a chance to meet so many celebrities because the Coasters was like the Temptations
Right.
back in them days. So we would go, you know, go hear him sing, and then a lot of times they were at Magic Mountain and different places. And it's weird, you know, you sitting in the front, you see your daddy on stage, and I'm like, ugh, you know, the music. You know? But yeah, so I don't know. It was just a vision given to me through God. Most people say, you know, that's what your mother did.
Right.
At my house one time, my mom, she had Tookie, Jamel, and I remember all of them. Of course, my brother was in jail, you know, but they were all there. She was trying to stop the violence. And her and Bob Simmons that had the big red house on Santa Fe and Pine, they were real close, you know. So my mother actually was doing that. And I didn't realize it, but a lot of people brought it to my attention. And I sat there and I'm like, I was still dealing with Miss Skinner and the drill team. You know, I was
Right.
really helping Miss Skinner. And my brother would call. He was like, man, what you going to do with your nonprofit? I was like, it could wait. I'm working with the drill team, you know.
Right.
So and then one day, somebody told me to go to the building that I'm in and talk to the lady. And eventually she let me come in, and I still didn't know nothing. I'm sitting here. And then God just started leading the way, and He's still leading the way today.
Amen.
You know, I'm still learning. I'm 16 years in the Sylvia Nunn Angels. I'm still learning. You know, I'm still learning, and God is good. Like people say, how do you do what you do? How this and that? And when I tell them it's God, they look at you like you trying to hold out. But I mean, it's when one thing when He know that you serious about what He send you,
Right.
He gonna step in and He been leading the way.
Yeah.
I be telling him sometimes, God, you know you showing out. I ain't mad though.
Right.
Keep showing out,
Keep
you
showing
know.
out,
Yeah,
though.
keep
Yeah.
showing out, you know.
Yeah.
So saving lives is like I said, growing up, I was able to have fun, and I feel like the kids of today is nothing. They took everything from us. So that's the purpose also of having Sylvia Nunn Angels. I wanted uh, to be able to give the kids things that they parents probably couldn't, like, you know, Dr. Dre paying for my snow. You know, some people never be able to make it to the snow, you know.
Right.
So it's to bring everything to Compton that the kids aren't able to go out there and get, you know. So that's a big part of my journey, to be able to give them, you know, the backpacks, the Easter baskets, you know, and it takes a village, you know, and
Right.
Him, you, we all part of that village, you know. One person can't do it. You know, when I first started doing it, I'm like, nobody was doing this now. Everybody trying to do
Right,
it.
right, right,
But
right,
God
right,
say
right.
it's okay, it takes a village. You know,
Right.
so he said, don't worry about it. And so I'm good with it. If I can help, I'm gonna help, you know, whoever. So that's my journey.
That was deep.
Yeah.
That was
My
deep.
journey.
What was the hardest thing about changing? You know, transitioning into Cynthia Nunn, that part of Cynthia Nunn, into the person we see today that's helping the community out.
Ah, the hardest part I thought when I first started, it wasn't hard because I guess God was still there. But the hardest part that when I first started, I wanted to leave all my past, you know, the homeboys. I didn't. It was like I thought if I dealt with them, then God wouldn't be pleased. So I'm like, I'm not dealing with nobody. I have to change. You know, you got to change. But God say, no, I need you right there. That's why I put you right there. You can't walk away from things that I need you to help. You know, a lot of times we figure people judge us because we still talk to the people that we grew up with, but we can help them as well as them helping us. You know, you can't walk away from something that's been there all your life. You have to change. And then some people look up to you, some people won't. You know, some people going to be happy and some people not. I learned you can't please everybody. Only person I'm trying to please is God anyway.
There
You
you go.
know, so that was the hardest part because at first when I got in the building, you know, the homies came up there and I'm like, no, y'all ain't coming up here. Get out of here. But then, you know, sometimes I will let them come because it's better to have them there than on the streets, you
Most
know,
definitely.
where they can figure out, you know, I always say if you don't give them something to do, they'll find the wrong thing to do, you know. And then again, they took
Bars.
everything. Yeah, yeah, they took
Bars.
everything from us, you know. So if I have Sylvia Nunn Angels, if they can come in there and play basketball, if they can come in there and do things, play the game or whatever, you know. And then of course now we got L7 and then you rapping. All of us can play a part, you know. I'm into my brother in them ears right now. Like, if you get 5 kids and you get 5, and you know you gotta show them that you love them as well. A lot of kids have not. It's different, you know. You got 90% of the grandparents raising the kids, and these kids is like 2 Chainz say I'm different. They different.
Yeah.
They different. So
Yeah.
you need, and it's not so much as that you don't know what they're going through. It could be at home, it could be in the streets, peer pressure. So, you know, they got to have somebody to talk to, and as well as the mental health, you know, because that's deep right now. You know, we look at each other and say, ain't nothing wrong with me, but I've had to identify probably over 10 people, bodies that was dead that was close to me. You know, I don't look like what I've been through, but I go back on saying them coming knocking on my door, with my brother laying around the corner dead, with Mike Loke in the gas station dead, you know, with Lavelle in the park dead. So having to go and see all of this is nobody but God that's keeping me sane. You know, again, like I said, I don't look like what I've been through, but I got some stories. I'm surprised I don't have nightmares walking outside in the middle of the night, you know, or whatever, or even taking my own life, you know, because mental health is real. And, you know.
That's all God right there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He said you a new creature.
Yeah.
That's what he said
I
for
be,
sure.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I be sitting there, I be like, because I hear other people's stories and I'm like, wow, you know, if only you knew my stories. But I guess God keep me strong because somebody have to have somebody to go to. So at night, that's my go-to. You know, a lot of times people don't know how many times I cry or I look strong, you know, but I have my days, you know.
Definitely. For sure.
Yeah, man. If it's a story that stuck with you that you'll never forget, that's always, you know, well, which story would it be, and who would it be?
Oh,
Whew, making her dig in the crates.
if the story that stick with me is the first one is knocking on my door saying that the guy around the corner is no, the man that live here, he's laying around the corner dead. And I'm like, at that time it was Lavelle, CK Vale, and Charlie. I'm like, the man live here. So I go around the corner and I couldn't actually see the body, but I'm looking and I'm like, well, who is it? And so I remember this detective, we knew all the different police, and he was looking. I said, is that my brother? And he wouldn't say nothing. And I'm like, is that my brother? And he never said nothing. And so after a while, I tried to run through the yellow tape, but he grabbed me. And I'm like, that's my brother. And so I cried. And then I went home. I lived on one corner. My mom lived at the next corner. So I'm like, oh, how do I tell my mom that my brother's laying around there dead? So I had to sit there for a minute. And I called my mother. And I told her my brother was laid around there dead. That was the first story.
And
The
so,
next story was them knocking on my door saying, yo, brother-in-law is, I think he at the gas station dead. And I got up and I went to the gas station. And Mike Loke was laid with his head on the window, dead. The next one, I wind up, Lavelle walked out the door and I heard a boom. And I'm like, I ran to the park. You know gunshots. And when I ran to the park, he was laid out up under headquarters is what they call it. And I just started screaming. And, I started praying, like, God, please don't let him die, And, he didn't make it, And then I wind up, then for my cousin Spanky at that little sound shop. Remember, first it was on the laundry, then he went right there. And one of the guys came, he said, I think people something happened at the shop. I was the first one on the scene. Got down there, they was in there, and I called his mama. So it's just been one, little Ricky, even though he was out of town, they called me and said that your son, passed away. So it's like, how do I tell Sandra? It's how do I tell Spanky Mama? So it's just the stories, like I said, not looking like what I've been through, And those are all people that's family, So,
How did you bottle all that up?
that's what I keep telling myself, not to have nightmares or, stuff. It's I don't know, it's something about me that God just, I don't know. I know when I was little, my mom took me to an evangelist, and he said she's going to be able to help a lot of people. And not, me younger, like, taking me to this crazy man,
Yeah.
You don't pay no attention, But, I mean, I think about him, but I don't know. It's deep.
It's deep.
it is.
No PTSD.
Yeah,
It's like, that's deep.
Yeah. And still having to deal with, everybody else and, other deaths and stuff, those just were some of the ones that I was like the first one on the scene, when it happened or whatever. But
Man. So,
since you got me digging.
He digging, bro.
no, so we gonna shift a little bit, and so you have Sylvia Nunn Angels.
Yes.
What made you name it after your sister?
Sitting there thinking, saying I want a nonprofit, and I'm like, I got to think of a name. I had a daycare, and it was Evelina's Little Angels. That's my mom. So I'm like, Sylvia. So I started looking at the letters in her name, SYLVIA, Stop Youth Living Violence in America. That's Sylvia.
Bars.
Never
knew that.
Can you repeat that again? Can you
Right.
repeat that
One
for
more
the
time
viewers?
for the listeners.
Come on now, for the ones in the
Sylvia
back.
is
Right.
Stop Youth Living Violence in America. That's spelled Sylvia.
That's dope. I
And
didn't know that.
Yeah, the Nun is needing unity, needing it now. And and the Angels
Okay.
is against negative gang environment, living straight. So
Okay.
that's how I came up with that. That's how God and myself came up with that name.
All right.
So, and I wanted to name it after her, since she was so crazy too, Oh yeah.
Put something good out there.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah. And It started to save lives. That's my mission. That's my journey, is to save lives. Police our own community. Uh, help our people. I knew it was. I figure like these baby nowadays need to have fun. We need to put something there for them. And ain't nobody gonna come through with a horse and carriage unless they carrying you to your grave. So we got to do it
Bars.
ourselves. So
And that's true. A lot of people show up
yeah.
to your funeral, but they won't show up to your birthday party or
None of
just to
that.
They're not gonna
celebrate you.
celebrate you.
What?
Yeah.
You got to clap for yourself. So that's what motivate me, knowing that I had God on my team.
There you
I didn't
go.
care about nothing else, because I know a lot of people, they happy. They say they happy for you. They really not. They say they there for you. They not. I experienced that when I first started. Everybody said it. So God just put the right people. They say you never know who He gonna send, and He been
There you
sending
go.
them. He been sending them. So I just keep moving on. I learned not to pay attention to the outside voices or what nobody say. I know they gonna talk about you. They gonna put you down. I've heard so much stuff about me since I was doing this. I just had my friend the other day. She said, when you first started, I was like, Cynthia needs to stop playing. I said everybody was gonna say that because of where I came from.
Yeah.
People so busy looking at your past, they can't see your future, and it ain't for them really anyway.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I just continue doing what I'm doing, and God continuously opening them doors. Everybody don't have to know what's going on. They just know what's going. And a lot of times when I first started, I didn't have money for nothing, and sometimes Nene was like, she was getting her little county check. She was like, I'll help you. Toy giveaway, the first one was probably like 12 people, and we took some of Renee's toys. Stood in the doorway and, gave it away. And each time it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, But he had to know that I was serious about this journey. That was the main thing, because a lot of times, a lot of people in it for the money.
Yeah.
But if you in it, I always say, if you do it from the heart and you really doing it, He gonna make it possible anyway.
sure.
The
But
money
you
gonna
gotta
follow.
start doing it. Everybody just always, money, 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 money. God gonna make sure it happen, because I'm here to tell you, He makes it happen.
Yeah.
That's how it's happening.
Yeah.
You representing the Most High
Oh,
first.
yeah,
You hear me?
yeah.
Yeah.
How can people donate and support you?
They can. We have Zelle. I have my website, but it's under construction again now.
Okay.
They can mail in. They can holler at y'all. They can,
Shout that Zell out. Shout that Zell
the
out. They
Zelle
gonna
is my
watch
phone
this.
number, 310-906-9154.
Don't be playing on my auntie phone either. I'm talking about-
That's right.
yeah, for sure. With a serious face, though. You see how she looked at you, right? You hear me?
For real, because it was serious.
Yeah.
We have Cash App, SN Angels. Everything is SN Angels, Sylvia Nunn Angels, Anytime you want to donate, anytime you want to drop off, every dollar help, every dollar counts, But it's really for the kids, I don't need nothing for myself. I tell people all the time, I was living before Sylvia Nunn Angels, and I'm going to continue to live until God say, well done, So
Dope.
anytime you want to help, you're more than welcome to donate, drop some shoes off or whatever,
Yeah. What's Sylvia Nunn Angels? What's the day-to-day operation? What are you guys?
So I usually get there about 9. We open up. Now I sit again, it was my focus is saving lives. But God, doing the food giveaway, He said you got a bonus. That's a bonus. Everybody think it's about the food giveaway. It's about saving lives. But
There you
He
go.
doing the bonus. We do mentoring, tutoring. Anybody that need help, we do referrals. Like you said, if somebody come want Pampers, I know to send them to you. Basketball, I send them to you. Music, I'm gonna send them to you. So we do referrals as well, because like I said, take a village.
Like
I'm
that.
there. I sit a table out every day, because people not only hungry on the weekends, which we give out food every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
But I
hear
sit,
that every Saturday.
Every Saturday you can pull up.
every Saturday. But I sit a table out through the weekdays, and people just come by and get whatever they want off the table. We were doing Bible study. I just talked to the pastor. I want to start back doing
Yeah, we
Bible
gonna keep that
study.
going.
Yeah, and if kids need help, if you need to talk to somebody, I have a disclosure where it's just, it's confidential. I understand a lot of people going through a whole lot, and I'm not God, but if I can help anybody, then I'm here to help. Sometimes people need somebody to talk to
Safe
where it's going to
places.
stay between you and them.
Yeah.
Not between you, or when you get mad, you blurt their business out. That's not me. I have stuff I'm going to take to my grave with me. So it's just about having somebody to talk to. I have the girls, they come, they talk, and I have some of the homeboys too that my daughter laugh because I got a few of them call, and I learned that sometimes people just want you to listen.
Yeah.
So I
Definitely.
listen. If you want me to answer back, I'll answer back. If not that day, maybe the next day. But it's a lot, like you said, PSD, mental health. And the first thing we say is, I ain't crazy. It's not about being crazy. We done seen a lot. We
Most
done been through a
definitely.
lot. And everybody can't deal with it. I don't know. God gave me some extra bricks or something, but everybody can't deal with that. It's
Right.
people taking their lives every day, and it's hurtful for me. And then what's more hurtful is another thing you said. What made me really change too. I was watching kids that I raised bury their kids. That's hurtful. I raised a lot of kids, and now they got to bury their kids. So that was another thing that made me change. It's like, you know, we got to get out there. We got to do something. And again, ain't nobody gonna come save us. We got to help each other. It ain't about me being bigger than you or you. We in this together.
It's a
Yeah.
we thing.
Yes. Most
Come on,
definitely.
Compton. Everybody come together that got these 501c3s.
Yeah, man.
It's bigger than what you just doing. You feel me? It's about everybody coming together, bringing all these good resources and opportunities
Right.
Yeah.
to our city.
I know one thing that Sylvia Nunn Angels do. You guys do gang intervention,
Yes, most definitely.
right? So, doing the gang intervention, how do we stop the cycle of violence? What is something that Compton need to work on? What is something that we need to come together and work on to stop the cycle of violence?
Again, as I stated earlier, we got to give them something to do. If you don't have nothing to do, if you got 5 people sitting around the park and it ain't nothing to do, nowhere to go, and they see somebody, it's like, forget it, let's go do this. So we got to give them something to do. As opposed to you have the basketball for the young kids, it needs to be, we know every gang member loves sports, that's for sure. So it needs to be, again, we starting back our round table for bringing people to the table, on getting some insight on how we can, change the narrative in the city of Compton. Not just myself, some of the guys or some of the guys that just got out of prison or whatever, I've been talking to. And as I said, I was telling them, get 5 or 6 kids. If you spend time with them, you're going to learn a whole lot.
Most
Some of them just
definitely.
want time, somebody to show them that they care, that, that it's going to be okay. Some of them need to talk to somebody. It's a lot of fathers absent. It's a lot of mothers nowadays absent.
Yeah.
And like I said, you got 90% of the grandparents, and these kids not listening to grandma. Some of them are hungry. Some of them are going through something, again, at home, in the streets or wherever. So if you start spending time with them, as I was doing the picnics with the triple OGs, it's picnics for for them. You take them. It's a life outside of Compton as well. Put them in a van, take them fishing, take them hunting. That's what my son grew up doing a lot. You would think that being who his daddy, uncle, mama, he would be, but he can fish and hunt. He's a shooter for real, but he hunting. He fish. And take them to see things that they never seen. Show them that somebody care. A couple of times I talked to some of the homeboys. I'm like, you ain't talking to your older homeboy. They was like, they don't mess with us. We don't know them. They don't know us. So my thing is, there's a gap. They need to close it. Spend some time with your young homeboy as well. ain't nobody bigger than the G, and that's God. Ain't nobody bigger than the program, you know. So you got to spend some time with your young homies, as well as the young homies have to show respect too, you know. Because sometimes they, you know, they rough and around the edges, but it could be coming from something that they going through.
Yeah.
And then the first thing they say is, I don't want to talk to him because he, you know, he think he, no, talk to him. Keep on, keep going, and keep going. Be persistent, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe we can change some of them, you know.
Yeah. What's something that the young ladies need to hear?
That's a good one.
Yeah. What's something that the young ladies need to hear coming from a queen that's from Compton and that's been through
it all.
and now is sitting here in front of you as a living testimony that you cannot succumb to your situation.
First of all, I'm going to say be a lady. And I always say give a man something to give. Quit showing him everything. You know, quit exposing everything. You know, I learned a man to sleep with anything, but he don't want anything to call his.
Yeah.
You know, a man wants somebody he could brag about,
Yeah.
he could talk about. You know, like my girl,
Hello.
she worked.
Message.
She is, you know.
Message.
So yeah, you know, like I want to do a cooking class. You know, like a lot of young ladies, they need guidance too. You know, a lot of them they just as tough as guys nowadays. They rough around the edges. They don't want to listen. You know, so you know, and you got to be persistent with them. You know, you got to keep talking to them and keep talking to them. And some of them don't want to listen. They always call us, oh, y'all old, it's our time. But, you know, they say the youngsters can move fast, but the old people got the knowledge. So you listen to the wisdom and you'll get somewhere. I don't care how quick you moving. Some of y'all going nowhere fast, going fast nowhere, however it is, you know.
Real.
So you got to learn to listen, you know, and it's not about being bigger than you. It's about I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to be your mother, I'm just trying to help you, you know. And a lot of them, they don't know how to perceive that help. They think you feel like, oh, you think you better than me because I ain't better than no. I'm trying to be better than myself, you know, than I was yesterday, last night, you know. So just be a lady. You know, you got to be a lady first. Like I said, a man to sleep with anything. Some of y'all, by the time you get 20, won't have insides, you know. So,
Bars.
you know, you gotta give a man something to, you know, brag about. You know, like my girl, she at work. My girl going to school, you know, she doing this, she doing that, you know.
Listening to that, it's like we can fill in the blanks by it's a lot of people it's a lot of women that don't know how to be ladies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I love about these nonprofits. We can show them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like that.
A lot of them don't want. A lot of them. And I don't be mad. Sometimes I say it's the upbringing. It's how they was raised.
Most definitely.
You know, you know where they used to say, "Daddy is chasing Sarah, Sue, and Jill." Mama's out there chasing Jim, John, and Joe. You know, so the daughter is raising. You got little daughters raising the babies in the house or whatever. You know, so it's not always. I always say it's how you raise. It's not always on them. It's what they know. It's, you know, it's what they were taught. You know, but it don't have to be like that, and they don't know that if they don't have nobody to talk to. You know, and then some people don't want to talk, like I said, because the first thing somebody do is when they get mad, they blurt out your business.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, oh, she didn't have no food, or she ain't got nothing to eat, or she this
Ain't
and
no
that.
safe
It's not
places
about
for 'em.
that. Yeah, you need a safe haven, somewhere where I can come spill out the beans and know that it's gonna stay there.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Yeah.
that's what I'm there for, ladies.
Yeah. And so what would you tell that young man? What do they need to hear?
They also need to know that I know my daughter's father was going through something when he lost his brother, and I was telling him it's okay. He said, somebody said men don't cry. Men cry too.
For sure.
You know, men have it even worse because they figure like they supposed to be just take
Strong.
anything, you know. But they have it too. They have breakdowns. They have moments. You know, two people I know within the last 2 days just killed themselves, and it's so heartbreaking because they have nobody to talk to. Sometimes men don't, especially men, because they figure like you looking at them because the muscles, you just looking at the outside. You ain't knowing what's going on that inside. You know, I asked one of the gentlemen that work with me, I said, you know, since you've been home from prison, how do you feel? How you feel, you know? And he like, wow, nobody ever asked me that. And I'm like, yeah, because you lost your brother while you was in there. And he you know, he started crying. He talked to me. And I'm like, you know, that's what they need to hear. You know, sometimes they need to know, like, how do you feel? You know, because, again, some of them don't have their dads, you know, or some of them don't want to talk to their dads. They need somebody to talk to, you know, so, you know, it works that way with them too, you know, like, hey, I need to release this pressure because pressure busts pipes.
For sure.
You know, and sometimes if they can't let it out, they gonna let it out the wrong way, you know. So men need somebody to talk to too, you know. So guys, you out there, I know y'all feel like I'm strong, I'm this and that. No, we all are suffering from something. Everybody, ain't nobody better than nobody else. We all going through something, and everybody needs somebody to talk to, you know. So, you know.
Just showing my vulnerable side. I used to have breakdowns,
Yeah.
you know, because I felt like I couldn't speak to nobody,
Right.
you know, and if I did, they'll get mad. They're gonna expose me. They gonna say he weak or
Yeah.
you know. And I just have breakdowns, man. And I tell the truth. I go to therapy, man.
Yeah.
You know,
For
I go to
sure.
therapy once a week.
Yeah.
I went to therapy yesterday. You know, so men out there, young men out there, don't be too prideful.
Yeah.
Don't be too prideful. Everybody, like Auntie say, everybody need somebody to talk to. We all need a shoulder to cry on
Yeah.
sometimes. And men do cry.
Yes, they
You know,
do.
men do
Yes,
cry.
they
And that's
do.
what makes you a man.
A
when
man.
you know, because you can stand up and actually stand in front of someone and let them know that I'm still a man, no matter through these tears and all that. When I go to church, I ain't even gonna lie, man.
I'm crying every Sunday. I'm crying every Sunday. I don't care.
Hey, you
Crying
being there,
every
he just
Sunday.
like he
As
turned it
soon as I
like
hear the music, man, I'm like, oh, you feel me? It's a wrap.
yeah. So
I'm crying every Sunday.
yeah, man. So we need that. We need
Yeah.
it's a cleansing for the soul.
It
you know
is.
what I mean?
Sure.
Like how life say, it's like taking your soul to the laundromat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once you get that good cry out.
Or find you a big homie that you can get close to, because I always say experience is the best teacher. If you ain't been there, you can't tell somebody about it. For me, if I walk in the psychiatrist and I'm hearing voices, and when I go in there and you know, regardless of all the plaques on the wall, my first question is, have you ever heard voices when he or she say, no, you can't help me because you don't know what I'm experiencing. You know, so sometimes it's about the experience. You know, if I go, I lost my mother, I lost my sister, but I haven't never lost a child. So it's different. My mother said it's nothing like losing a child so that's why you have to take time with people sometimes, because when they going through things and sometimes you be like, oh, you know, some people say get over it or it ain't that bad. You don't know if you ain't walked them shoes.
Facts,
You know,
for
you
sure.
have to walk them shoes in order to be able to experience it. So my thing is you have to go to somebody that's been there, you know. I mean, you can go to who you want to go to, but I always say experience is the best teacher, you know. And then once you start getting help, then some fathers can't be a father to their child because they still got trauma. Some mothers can't be a mother because they still got trauma. Some people are still holding stuff in, and until they let it go, they not no good for nobody. You know,
Most
you just
definitely.
having babies to have them, but you can't help them because something in there is still bothering you, you know. So you have to learn to let it go. You have to learn to release it. Find you somebody you trust, or if not, then go seek somebody, you know. But it's not a thing, everybody out there, to go back and say, if somebody trusts you enough with something that's going on with them, to go back and talk about it. I don't care how mad you get. Like I said, I'm holding secrets that I will take to my grave, because I've never been and nobody can come say went back and said this or that. Like, it's a lot I can say, but it's not for what? It ain't gonna do no good. So, you know, just, you know, just
In 20 years from now, When they say Cynthia Nunn, what you want that to represent?
She saved a whole bunch of lives. She did good by God. She changed half of Compton. Well, she had help. She was a part of changing Compton, a part of changing the world. Because I talk to people all over the world now. I get calls from all over the world. So I want people 20 years from now to say, she really helped me. You know, I've had people when I first got on social media, I've had girls came and say, you changed me. You know, you saved my life. And that meant more than somebody giving me a check for $5,000. And do I need $5,000? Heck yeah. But to know that I changed some lives, even doing gang intervention, I had guys say, you know, you saved me from putting, you saved me. And I'm like, I did. Like I said, that was that journey that was already planned that I didn't know nothing about. You know.
That was deep. What events or projects do you have coming up?
So we have our Easter basket giveaway. It was the week before Easter. I haven't did the flyer. Besides the food giveaways every Saturday, we're going to do our Easter basket giveaway. That's our next event. And after that, I did an event, old school family reunion, January the 24th. And it went so well, brought so many people out and together. I'm doing a part 2 in June. You know, the normal picnics, round tables, and, you know, whatever God send my way, that's what I'm trying to do.
Most definitely.
So what message you want to leave for the viewers? Someone that's similar upbringing, that don't know how to make it through, you know, because you either gonna walk through it, go around it, but some of us don't even know how to do that. So we just so frustrated and with life, you know what I mean? And they on the verge of unaliving themselves or they are doing something. So coming from someone like I know your story, and so coming from someone that have been through hell and hot water.
Oh, please don't unalive yourself. Please. If you need to talk to somebody, I'm definitely here. If you don't trust me, please find somebody that you trust. Do not unalive yourself because I know it can be bad. I know it can be hurtful, but if you need to talk to somebody, you can call me. I'm sure these gentlemen.
For sure. I was about to put my number on there.
Yeah, you know. You know, you just got to take that initiative to know that you can trust somebody.
Most definitely.
You know, and if you can't get on your knees and pray, talk to God, and He going to lead you to where you need to go. You know, I'm not that powerful because he been leading me, you know. I may seem like I'm strong. Like I said, I have my days, you know, I have my nights. But He also prepared me for that next day because He said, I need you. And I know He don't need me, but I need Him, you know, but He's guiding me, you know. And like I said, not only me, you know, these gentlemen changed their life. I thought he was my nephew for real because he looked so much like my brother. You know,
Mama, you got answers, Mama.
Yeah, you know, you can talk to. I mean, these are some good brothers, and I ain't saying it because they right here with me. You know, you got to find somebody that you trust that you can talk to. And I'm sure they can leave their numbers as well as mine. Get in touch with them if you want to get in touch with me. But let's try to change this. You know, I don't care if you older than me, which I'm older, or younger than me. If you need me, I'm here. I don't care if you don't like me. I'm still here. Your story is still safe with me. You know, I don't care if you don't like him or him. I'm sure your story is still safe with them. And I have a policy is. You can sue me if you tell me your information and you hear about it, and you know I have paperwork for mine. So but I love everybody. Again, even the ones that don't love me, don't like me. God's so good to me. I don't have no dislikes.
That's
and where
the
I used
bar
to
right
fight,
there. We still love you.
where I used to fight physically, God is fighting all my battles. You know, so.
For sure.
You know, and I'm not perfect. Yeah, I have my days. Sometimes that devil do slip up in me. You know. But for the most part. I'm a cool person. Don't judge that book by what somebody else say. You don't know the reason why they don't like me. It's just because I'm here. I exist, you know. But if you get to know me, I had a girl tell me the other day, she said, I thought you was so mean. And when I met you, I said, oh, my gosh, she's so cool. She's so sweet. I said, yeah, you know. You can't just look at somebody and say you don't like them because of what somebody else said or whatever. Get to know them. Get to know Cynthia. Get to know Cavion. Get to know Nephew. Get to know us, you know. Get to know, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Get to know us. So if you need me, my number is 310-906-9154. As he said, don't play on the phone, and I'm sure
Straight up.
they'll, you know.
Yeah. And y'all could drop a comment, you know, on the page, and
Follow,
we'll
subscribe.
we'll be right back at y'all, man. We here to help. We here to motivate, and whatever y'all need from us, we here, man. So where can they find you at? Where
That
they
was
at?
my
Where,
question,
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
I don't even have to say it. She even said it before.
Yeah.
Man.
Where
All
can
my
they find you
handles
at? Where
is SN Angels, Instagram, Facebook. I don't do. I'm on TikTok and all that other stuff, but you know I'm a little slow with all that other stuff. But I'm there, or I'm at 200 North Long Beach Boulevard.
There you go.
There you go.
That's where I'm at.
And there you have it, man. We thank you for coming through, coming and sharing your story with the audience and sharing what you're doing for the community. It's a beautiful thing, and we're truly blessed to have you.
Super.
Thank you.
I learned a lot today.
Yes, and truly blessed to have you part of just doing what you're doing in the community. It's not easy, you know. Without God, I don't think that none of this would be possible.
Yeah, we wouldn't even be right here.
Yeah.
Right.
So we thank you guys, and if it's anything that we have shared today that possibly can help out the next or possibly help out you, please subscribe, please like, comment, and share with someone. You know, don't be too prideful to share. So that's us, Square Biz. We holler.
Yeah. Now we need sound effects.